I feel like sometimes I was like, oh, I could definitely take this bigger, but then I feel like, why? Like I'm still like learning so much. You know, you just not want to rush, but you want to think, oh well, rather than making 3 cuts, I can make 1. What I always forget is, okay, that's all well and good, you've cut it, but now I've got to deal with it, and I think I am slowly learning that, okay, yeah, it might take a little bit more investment in time here, but it's just going to go smoother and be easier. And
Yeah, so what's your plan? Like, how are you going to remove this tree?
So what I'll do is I'm going to climb up the tree, get a good tying point, and then I'm going to come back down on this front side, so we've got a nice big drop zone. So I'm going to clear up, go work my way back up, clearing everything on this side of the crown, and then that's going to open up the space to either swing round all these side branches, clear that up, and then get all the branches on the back side of the tree, and so it gives me plenty of space to chuck it this side. And then once we've stripped everything, I'll probably chuck the spurs on and start bringing down the 2 stems.
So yeah, do you think you're going to rig anything, or at this point?
I don't think we'll have to. Like, I'll just climb out and take it smaller pieces, and I'll be able to just manhandle it back this way. So I'm not planning to at the minute, but we can set it up if we need to. Yeah, so like under half the tree, we've got a shed roof, we've got a house, we've got windows. So there's half of the tree, or below the tree, is sort of not possible to drop anything, and we can't drop anything. So I'm going to have to sort of cut and hold like 75% of the tree, maybe even more. So
Anything about the tree that's like particularly
typical,
like tricky, or is it?
just typical red maple, like very quite busy crown, a lot of tight unions, quite long laterals, but nothing too concerning at the moment. Oh, it's been topped, or previously.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not that. I feel like I haven't been climbing that high, and it's like I can't go any higher already. So, Danny boy, do you reckon I should pull my rope out this front side, or do you think that'd be okay?
What, you mean drop it down the front side?
Yeah, like bring it down and then drop it down the front. Or not? I might not bother it. 'Cause then
As you descend, it'll
Okay.
pull down with you. So yeah, I don't think you need to like feed it all the way down.
Okay.
So you don't want to saw yet, mate. So you see all those like stubs that you've left.
Yeah.
And I know that it's because you just maybe don't want to go down that bit more, or you haven't got a saw with you, but those are what will really fuck you over. Like.
Right. Well, if I've got a saw now, I've got a bit of space. I feel like I can.
Yeah,
climb around
definitely.
with a saw.
I think having a saw now.
Yeah, because then I can finish each branch. Then I can take it with a silky and then finish it off.
Yeah, and you know, like you've probably heard me mention this to Connor a bunch of times in the past, but literally just chip away at it.
Yeah.
And it's only when you get into like the final quarter do you feel like you kind of getting towards being done, like, because when you first start a tree, you can't think about it on like a whole and like, oh, am I nearly, how long is this going to take? You just have to like just chip away and kind of just get in a little flow of it. Them step cuts aren't on point today, are they?
Well, it's been more the ones that have either been in an uncomfortable position, I've been really close to my ropes and like.
Yeah, kind of worried about.
Would you go up higher? Would you stand on this branch union?
I mean, I would in something like this, I would always go as far out as I can get, but while I'm still like stable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, You don't want to be stood on anything where you think, fuck, is this going to snap on me like all the time? But if you can get that lanyard like kind of like neck height or head height or somewhere, you either want to do a face cut towards you so you can pull it like basically towards you, and then
definitely put my silky scabbard too far around.
that's it, mate. Now just get nice and comfortable first. That's it, just make sure your feet are set and you're secure, and then just chuck it. Nice one.
So that's the problem. I'm going out there to get the longer bits, but then I have to come back down there to make the final cut.
Yeah, but that's just on most trees. You always have to do that. Okay. Even worse is on something like a Lombardy poplar, where like you take the ends off and then you got to come all the way fucking down, and then you got to go all the way back up again. That was probably one of the hardest branches you will have to do today, I think. Because it was kind of a big long one that you had to get out on, whereas I don't really think there's many more of them. Tom?
Yeah?
While you're down there,
yeah,
I would swing out into those like lateral branches, and yeah, because you were already there, so
yeah.
And then like once you've kind of taken that one off, then you can just keep kind of working round to that side.
Okay.
So just a little bit of,
go for it.
well, I suppose advice. If that were me and I'd have done that, I would have stripped off those bunch of branches
The
underneath
lower stuff.
just because
It's going to
like,
drop down. I'm going to
because each time you drop something, you then have to like pull it out of the branches.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you've only got that top to do, and then that's it. So it's no big deal. But
yeah,
it's just a kind of a little efficiency tip for for situations like that in the future.
Heads up. Watch out.
Yeah, you're good, mate. And I don't know if there will be, but if there's any points up there where you think actually this would be easier to rig this out, then obviously don't hesitate to ask for the gear.
Okay.
But you're going really well, mate. So
Well, if you're happy with how it's all going, then
yeah, I think you're fucking. I honestly can't believe how. I don't want to tempt fate, but how.
yeah,
Jinx
it. Don't say it. Right, hold that short. Hold that.
Yeah, what I mean.
I feel like sometimes I was like, oh, I could definitely take this bigger, but then I feel like, why? Like I'm still like learning so much. Like, you know, you just not want to rush, but you want to think, oh well, rather than making 3 cuts, I can make 1. But then I always forget is, okay, that's all well and good, you've cut it, but now I've got to fucking
you got to
deal with it. And like, I think I am slowly learning that, okay, it might take a little bit more investment in time here, but it's just going to go smoother and be easier. And so.
And I don't know how you feel, if you've really thought about how this job's going today, or if you're just kind of, you know, like in your own little groove and you're just like plugging away at it. But I feel like this is kind of like the perfect way that a job goes, is that, you know, you're not, everything's just coming down bit by bit by bit, but you're not running into any issues. Like you haven't really run into any problems that like maybe like a branch that you've left has caused you like problems over and over and over again. You're not struggling to do anything, you're not struggling to get anywhere in the tree, like, so you just, it might seem very like non-eventful.
Yeah.
And I find when a tree job seems non-eventful, it's when it's going as good as it can go, because everything's going to plan.
Yeah.
You're in your little groove. You're not thinking about time. You're just like, you're just chipping away at it. There she goes. Nice one, Tommy. So what you just did there is a great technique of like using the branch of it falling, and then giving it that flick at like the last minute to make sure it kind of like does like a somersault.
I suppose you're never holding it then. Like if you're cutting and holding everything, and especially when you get to like bigger branches, like the amount of energy that must use, as opposed to just being able to let it go and flick it. Yeah, went all right. Sort of plugged away at it. Took everything quite a small size and chucked it into the drop zone. Some of the lower branches were a little bit more difficult just because they were so long and trying to get out on them, but all went pretty well. There was a few tricky bits like over the shed and that, but yeah, just tried to get out as far as I felt comfortable and take it in smaller pieces, and then managed to chuck it back over. Yeah, all went pretty well. So I'm going to chuck my spurs on now, and then get back up that main stem that I'm tied into, and I can reach all the other 3 stems from that main stem, so I'll probably, I don't know, will I do all 3 coming down and then take the main stem down, or do it as I go? I'm not sure. Don't know. What do you recommend?
If you feel like you can reach those 2 skinny stems from that stem,
yeah,
then I would strip this front stem first.
Okay.
Completely get that all the way down to just above the fence where it forks out.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back up and start blocking down the main trunk.
As well as.
And then where those 2 stems stick out and you can reach them from the main trunk, then kind of bring the 3 down all at the same time.
Okay.
Because then you limit how much you're gonna have to go up and down, up and down.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just gonna snap cut everything. And have you left this brush for a reason? I imagine maybe you have.
No, I mean the state of the ground is all.
Yeah, it's all. I'll probably make a bit of a crash mat using the big ton bag just here, and then chuck everything over into the drop zone again. I'll use all the brush just to stack it in there and chuck all the wood in there and firewood sized bits.
Yeah, so like we're not going to rig anything?
I don't think so. Probably like 14, 16 inch size pieces. They'll be easily manageable and get them few hangers out of the other tree.
An easy way to do it, you can even like pull down, and then as you walk up with like, so use your rope to pull and then like step up, and then every like couple of steps you just need to flick your lanyard up, so almost like use your rope to climb rather than your lanyard to climb.
Okay.
That's it. And now pull your rope again and step up as you're pulling yourself up. Or even like do like, 2-3 steps, pull down on the slack, 2-3 steps, pull down on the slack.
I put the wrong harness on. It doesn't matter too much, does it?
Pardon?
I put the wrong harness on.
Do you want?
No, I'll just get the lanyard off that if that's all right.
You don't need anything else?
It's really funny. We're obsessed with the Great British Bake Off. And there's a girl on there from Scarborough. I can't do her accent. Yeah.
Oh, legend.
I feel like I love her only because my weak connection to Scarborough is you. But like, I'm rooting for it.
And as long as you're doing that first cut like all the way through until you see the gap start to close. Then that second cut, no matter how awkward it literally is going to be for like a couple of seconds. Have your main rope as like a backup, but have it slack, and you want to be on your spurs on that piece, yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to want to switch saws again?
I'm happy just to continue with this.
Right, if you want to switch, now's
I
the time.
suppose now's the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I could probably do that.
Like, I mean, it's the skinny stems that you would want that saw, but that saw you'd probably want for. I'd say just go up with that.
Yeah.
It'll be a little awkward getting the skinny ones because, you know, like one you'll be turning round and that saw's a bit heavier, but you'll want the bigger one for the bigger wood. So
yeah.
So it's actually good, like these top bits now that you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a bit awkward because because you've got the big saw, and two because you're going to have to be leaning over.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time for, like, you basically have to find the best, most comfortable position to be in.
Right.
And like you'll get up there and you'll be like, oh, that's fucking awkward, and then you'll change, and then you'll maybe find it a little bit easier, but it'll still be awkward. And it's just one of those times where you'll actually gain a lot from doing the like.
I'm not liking the sound of this, buddy.
The area where you're in most control of the chainsaw is like in front of your chest, like that kind of area, or even a little bit lower than your chest. That's like your power zone where you've got full control. So remember, yeah, have your lanyard, like, it doesn't want to be more than horizontal really when you're blocking down. That last one was too high for me. And if you feel like you're too close for the chainsaw, maybe slacken your lanyard a touch, but if it's comfortable, then that's fine. So see, to me, like looking from a camera lens there, that looks perfect. Like from an onlooker point of view, that looked like you were in the most control, you were in like the perfect position. And even though to you it might have felt a little bit uncomfortable, like that seemed good to me. See, that cut is way above your lanyard again, and you were like head or neck level again. So look, the distance between your lanyard and the top, it's like you've got about 2 foot at least, maybe 2.5 foot. You could probably do like another cut with your lanyard where it is now. Maybe like you could lean yourself forward and drop your lanyard a couple more inches or something, but keep your body in the same spot. Now you want it like a little bit higher, otherwise it'll be uncomfortable, I think. Yeah, there you go, perfect. So try and use that one as like a guide. Like, you felt rusty, and I felt that's one of the best climbs that you've ever done.
Wow. If you asked me after every climb, I think I'd never be happy, to be honest. But like, I was really rubbish on my snap cuts today, on everything, on the branches, on like everything that was tearing out, and I'm normally not that bad, but nothing went wrong, did it? So
no, I felt, yeah, I suppose that was the one thing I did notice early on, is that your snap cuts, like, because usually your snap cuts are
not too bad.
They're always pretty good, and
yeah,
I felt like that was maybe one thing, that having like the time off, that it took you a while to kind of get back into it again.
I felt it though, like my wrists then.
Yeah.
I was struggling to hold the saw just because I haven't done it for a while. But no, it was good. Good tree.
That was wicked. Yeah, it just like, for me it just felt like it went like a steady pace the whole way. Like you didn't, even though you felt like you were fatiguing towards the end, like you're saying with your wrists and stuff, it didn't seem like the production and the work aspect of it was slowing down. It was just like a nice consistent pace the entire time. everything going in the drop zone, dropping everything, dropping all the logs and...
Yeah, so in that respect, everything went fine. There was nothing got dropped really, so that was good.
The biggest blunder of the day was me with a fucking not fueling the chainsaw.
Yeah, please say you got that on film. So I'll just finish that off, yeah? Finish that off and then get tidied up.
So now that we've had time to reflect on the job, what would you do differently to be more efficient? Anything that you could have done to reduce fatigue on your body, and just any ways that you might approach the tree differently from what you've learned from having experience and doing the job, and then also watching back some of the footage that we got as well.
So I don't think I changed the approach because it was quite a simple tree, so the way we approached it was fine. After watching some of the footage back though, it's definitely like a lot of improvements could have been made, particularly like planning when you're taking a canopy down, planning and clearing space to bring the branches through, so you're not, because there's a few times where I took the wrong branch first and then having to fight it and pass it back through. So there was definitely a few times where that could have been improved on. When we came down to bring down the main stem, I used the big saw, and some of the stems were a little bit further away, so having the smaller saw would have definitely been a lot easier on the body, and it was needless to have the big saw, to be honest, because it was all small stuff. So there was that was another improvement that could have been made. Quite pleased how everything came down nice and safe, so that was good. Relatively systematic. I think there was one bit in the video, in the footage, where I'm holding a piece, I've made my cut, and my scabbard for my silkie's like way around the back I couldn't put it away, so I'm like sort of struggling there, hold the piece. So that was another thing, really like getting set up, get my harness set up a bit better. One thing we've spoken about a few times, but when coming to piecing down the stem, for some reason I always start my cuts up way too high, and it's just harder on the body, harder on, not as safe either, like when you're cutting up here, because obviously all your strength is down here. So that's definitely something I need to improve on. But also as well is like looking at a tree and making a decision how you're going to approach it yourself, where you're going to put the rig in, where you're going to tie into, as opposed to being told, like having that because it's very easy, and I find sometimes I do get a bit over reliant with like people on the ground that obviously a lot more experience than me. I'll always just be asking, what to do here, what to do that. So moving forward, definitely just sort of thinking about how we approach each tree and sort of making my own decision, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And learning for it. If it's wrong, like learn from it.
Yeah. So almost like making your own plan in your mind first, then seeing what everybody else on the crew thinks, and then if you implement your plan and see if it works, and maybe you need to change like halfway through.
Yeah, I do. I found like maybe it's most people like that, but I do find I get quite reliant on asking people, now I do this or shall I do that, and I'm almost looking for just confirmation a lot of the time. But I find it's a bit of a easy thing to get into, just constantly asking people what to do as opposed to just making a decision.
But that's also good, and it's, that's how it should be, because only having like a year's experience of like climbing part-time really,
true.
You can't be always thinking, I know what to do, I know best, like I've got my own plan, because a lot of the time like other people with more experience have got different ideas, and maybe
Definitely.
So you need to ask, but it's good to think of a plan first and then see if it kind of lines up with other people's ideas as well.
And I think as well, going back to the job, you mentioned efficiencies, and again, I don't know if it's because I had a bit of time off, but I definitely felt it towards the end of like using the saw, like with the bigger saw, like I really felt like my wrists starting to get tired. Again, maybe because I'm not doing it all the time and had a bit of time off, but so that was probably where we should have used the smaller saw. That would have come into play, but yeah, that was something that could have been improved on.
And you were saying about you find it really awkward to use the saw like body facing up.
Yeah.
Like, talk a little bit about that.
I don't know what it is. I think, as we just discussed, I think maybe I'm starting my cuts too high. So obviously you got the body of the saw, or your hand and the bar, the handle is like in the way, so you can't see your cut. And sometimes when I've got the saw up like that, I find the angle of the bar is off. I don't feel comfortable, basically. I don't know why. It doesn't feel right. I'll always want to flip the saw open and come in like that. But then when you get like a bigger saw, that gets more and more difficult, and especially as you start to get tired.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely one thing I need to improve on, or need to maybe just figure out why I'm struggling with it first.
It's probably because you're trying to make your cuts quite a lot higher than your lanyard, rather because you're quite new. Obviously, you're worried that you might hit your lanyard, so you're overcompensating and making your cuts higher, which means the body of the saw is almost like in front of your face, and you can't.
You can't see. But like you say, if I'm coming, that's probably the big factor, really.
When you first started, obviously you didn't get many opportunities because you didn't have any idea about climbing, so we needed longer to get you to start. So in the first couple of months you maybe climbed once or twice, and then the more that you climbed, the more chances you get, because you become more familiar and more able. So like towards the end you've done like quite a bit more climbing than in those first few months.
One thing I would say that I've noticed is, if a job, I think, like, because each time you've got to push yourself, haven't you? If you don't push yourself, you'll never get better. But when you say, oh, do this job, and I think, oh, that's a bit more beyond my capabilities, I instantly don't want to do it, or I'm very much happy to let someone take the back seat. So, and then as soon as I see someone else jump up there, I think, I could have done that. I don't know why so yeah, it is knowing like your boundaries, but also it is pushing yourself. And if there is a job that you're capable of doing, is going for it, as opposed to sort of watching other people do it and then an afterthought think, oh, I could have done that. If I'd thought about it, I could have done it. So yeah, just pushing yourself really to improve. Sweet.